Hey there, welcome. My name is Dana Damara. Welcome to the January Astrocast. So, I have decided to put information out there that encapsulates certain aspects and certain planetary shifts that will go on during each month. And I commit to doing my best to get this information to you prior to the month beginning, if not right when the month begins. I find that this type of information is really important. And um, it's really supportive if you know where some of these planets hit your chart. So, if by chance you want to know that information, please feel free anytime, reach out to me. You can reach me through my website at danadamara.com. More than happy to read your chart for you. More than happy to. But it is, even without that knowledge, just understanding what's going on in the sky uh, throughout the month is helpful, I believe. So we're going to go ahead and get started, and I'm actually going to share my screen with you because I find that it's helpful if you want to look at a list, and then I can kind of go through it with you. So these are, now this isn't everything, but these are sort of the big things that are happening throughout this month, January 2021. And boy, oh boy, this has been, we're leaving 2020 behind astrologically, but it was quite a year of epic astrology. And by epic, I mean astrology we haven't seen in years, thousands of years in some cases. So um, we're moving into a softer energy. You know, for example, we had, I think, 6 or 7 eclipses last year in 2020, and we only have 4 in 2021. So that's a really beautiful thing right there. But let's just talk a little bit about these. Okay, so in it's going to January is going to start off in a very calm manner, right? Especially with this full moon Cancer, and it's potentially one of the most intense months of the year too. And by intense, I don't mean it in a bad way. But if you just look at this list of all of uh, the planetary shifts that are happening, it's kind of a big deal. You know, Venus is a big player, Mercury, Mars, Uranus, you know, these planets moving like this throughout the year will create shifts. So what I always say to anybody that is even remotely interested in astrology, number one, get your chart read so you know where things are on your chart, but also sitting in meditation really helps us to stay grounded so that no matter what's going on in the world, we have this kind of inner gaze. So meditation for me is non-negotiable. So even just pausing to breathe for a moment before we enter our day is helpful. So I'm just going to go ahead and begin here. So on January 1st, we have Venus conjunct the South Node. So South Node is kind of like our past lessons, our what we've kind of had to deal with. North Node is movement forward. South Node is our past, and Venus is conjuncting it here on January 1st. So there's nostalgia involved in this. There's healing involved in this. There's a potential to open up uh, um, maybe a new gaze at unfinished or unresolved business that we have in some relationship. Venus is love, it's value, it's money, it's abundance, it's how you feel. Um, it's checking in with yourself and how you feel about all of those things, or maybe with someone else. Maybe you've been dealing with some certain experience or a relationship. But just know that on January 1st, it's opening up that energy field for you to even heal a little bit deeper, okay, and understand what's important to you. On January 5th, we have Mercury conjuncting Pluto. So Mercury is the lower mind, the thinking mind, the day-to-day. Pluto is transformation, empowerment. So when they come together in the sky, when they conjunct each other, they ask us to think about those transformative moments in time, having conversations about what's next, how to transform, deeper conversations. Mercury is the intellect, it's the thinking mind. So getting a little bit sharper with how you process things, how you speak, maybe taking a breath before you speak. So you have this opportunity to have conversations around um, topics that actually mean something. It's not a time for small talk. There, that's how I could have said that really easily. Not a time for small talk. January 7th, Mars enters Taurus. Mars enters Taurus. It's been in Aries. Okay, so Mars is a fire sign, Aries is a fire sign. Mars has been in Aries, oh my God, for so long, and it creates that like fire nature, initiation. But if we look back on the year, we've had so many restrictions that sense of angstiness has been a little muddled, if you will. So Mars moving into Taurus, moving into this Earth sign, Mars is now moving into a place where it can be a little bit smoother. We can have this sense of initiation with an earth sign instead of initiation in another fire sign. So, but I do want to say this because of the aspects of Uranus too, with Uranus and Taurus and Mars conjunct Uranus, that's an intense feeling, right? So it's this intense feeling of, remember, well, maybe not remember, but when I did the full moon Cancer, I talked a little bit about Uranus being the planet of unexpected shifts. And Mars is a little pushy. So when Mars and Uranus get together, it's a little bit of a initiation and pushy type of movement forward. And so it's going to be a little bit of this like, come on, let's go. But later in the transit, come February, Mars will move out of that and it'll be a little bit calmer. But just know that there's no need to rush anything, but you will potentially feel that sense of urgency. It's a sense of urgency. January 9th, Mercury enters Aquarius and Venus enters Capricorn. So January 9th, Mercury, lower mind, Venus, love, abundance, um, beauty, worthiness, and then having this sense of really great ideas. So remember, Mercury is the lower mind, Aquarius is air. So it's like if you've had these really cool ideas about something, but you haven't understood how to launch them, maybe they've been stuck in that earth sign. Now there's these opportunities for the air sign to take it away. Take it away. Let's do this. Let's do that. So some hopefully divine inspiration will come through communication. And Venus in Capricorn is love. It's abundance. It's valuing. So really rooting and grounding those ideas of value in what's important to you will become important on that day. And remember, on these days, this is just opportunities. This is just that's the flow of energy. Okay, you don't have to follow this day by day. On January 10th through the 12th, Mercury will conjunct Saturn and Jupiter. So Saturn and Jupiter were big players this year. If you didn't know that, they were huge players in what's going on. Mercury is going to conjunct Saturn and Jupiter because Saturn and Jupiter are still fairly close to one another. It's what we consider as astrologists, since they're so close, a triple conjunction, because even though it doesn't exactly happen on the same day, they're still close enough to create a triple conjunction. And Mercury, remember, is the lower mind. It's these ideas that maybe you've been ruminating over, and all these other planetary aspects will help kind of push them forward. But Mercury will help us to understand and the aspects and the reasons why Jupiter and Saturn were so active in our own life this past year. Jupiter is about expansion, education, wisdom, justice, right? A lot of instances to experience all of that this past year. And Saturn is restrictions and structure and the systems that we work with in our life. And I could do a whole segment on the systems in our society, but I'll save that and just say that Mercury will allow you, and Jupiter and Saturn conjuncting will allow you some space to really think about and ruminate on how these lessons hit you this last year and what you could potentially do or create in order to make change, either individually or collectively. January 13th, we have the new moon in Capricorn. Uh, Good old Capricorn, yay! New moon Capricorn at 23 degrees, and it's super close to Pluto too. So this new moon in Capricorn will give us the energy of renewal. I keep saying that 2020, the theme, if there was one word for 2020, I would sum it up as resilience. You know, this idea of resiliency, of getting knocked over and just getting back up again. And now with this new moon Capricorn, it's really offering us an opportunity to take on an idea of healing or renewal, almost like looking at the mess of and of the space behind us, and just going, oh God, okay, um, what did I learn in all of that? Where was my healing? And with the month starting off with Venus conjuncting the South Node, it's going to give you a huge opportunity to move forward. And it's a little bit lighter too because Saturn's not in Capricorn anymore. Um, thank God. um, January 14th, Uranus goes direct. Yay, Uranus. Uranus, again, is that unexpected miracle, shifting, quick movement. Um, it's the planet of freedom, of liberation, of truth, of divine inspiration, divine insight. So we get those like flashes of light, right? And so when Uranus goes direct, it's like that, okay, ready, set, go. And so that's when the energy will really start to shift. Those first like 2 weeks of January is a little challenging, but not anything like we've been experiencing. But with Uranus going direct, we'll be offered some opportunities to really hit the go button. I'm just reading some notes that I have here. Yeah, it's also square Jupiter. Did I put that? I did put it there. Oh, good for me. So I did put Jupiter square Uranus a few days later. So just be mindful not to go too fast. Jupiter tends to blow things out of proportion. Jupiter tends to expand things, which is great. But when a planet like Uranus is going direct, and it's squaring Uranus, you might want to be mindful about being too big for your britches or biting off more than you can chew. Okay, so just be mindful. That's all. That's all I'm saying. Just be mindful. Don't be afraid. Just be mindful. And then January 20th, uh, Sun enters Aquarius, which is always beautiful. Of course, with Mercury, Jupiter, and Saturn already there, we already feel this Aquarian energy. But the Sun is moving there is the official beginning of the Sun entering Aquarius, is the Aquarius season. And then at that time, we'll have 4 planets in Aquarius. So it builds even more as we move into February. I'm not sure of the date, but Venus will move into Aquarius as well. And so that's when you will really start to feel that like airy, whooshy energy. You know, this is still, it's almost like January is still sort of like a realignment month. We're still realigning, we're still kind of figuring out what's going on, right? January 21st, Mars conjuncts Uranus. That means those planets meet directly in the sky, 6 degrees Taurus. It's a really important transit because it's the first Mars-Uranus conjunction in Taurus since 1942. So it's a very, it's new energy that maybe we can't even begin to understand what it feels like. Let me explain it to you this way, though. Mars, remember, is that initiator. Mars wants us to move forward. Mars is the warrior, right? Um, Taurus is very calm, very steady, very grounded. But with Mars in Taurus, Um, it, it has the potential for, um, all of a sudden shifting that energy and getting angry or feeling overwhelmed, and that's going to go back to Jupiter squaring Uranus. So remember, I said, don't blow things out of proportion. Don't get too crazy. Be Still have that steady Capricorn, Taurus, grounded attitude, and you'll be fine. So it's an energy that will take us to it can go in two directions. One, explosive, two, or constructive. So err to the side of being constructive with any angsty energy that you feel during that time. Like, do something that's constructive. Um, you might feel that sense of angstiness. Be constructive with it. January 24th, Sun will conjunct Saturn. And then 5 days later, it conjuncts Jupiter, because remember, Saturn and Jupiter are still pretty close to one another. So again, Saturn is the planet of restriction. Saturn is structure. Saturn is the planet we've played with all 2020. And usually we have one Sun Saturn conjunction each year. And that is the opportunity for us to birth some sort of new project, some sort of new construct, some sort of new structure for ourselves. So this whole month is really about coming to terms with the restrictions that we have, our angstiness, unresolved issues, knowing that we're ready to move forward, but not being pushy about it, not saying, well, I'm just so impatient. I really need to do this right now. Like, the Sun's conjunct Saturn is not a time to be impatient. It's a time to take it slow and be patient. Okay. And then on the 29th, when it conjuncts Jupiter, then it's this ability. It's almost like the pieces have started to come together, and you can kind of expand the way you look at things, and you can say, okay, this is great. What did I truly leave behind in 2020? Where am I going in 2021? What little T's can I cross and I's can I dot? And, what space can I move toward a higher version of myself or my truth with this energy? So this whole month is really refining, fine tuning, allowing things to kind of fall into place without being pushy or impatient. And I know it's hard. I just had a discussion with my daughter the other day. She's 15, and she said, I feel like I've been doing all this work, and I've been studying, and I've been working out, I've been doing all this, and I want to like get out and do things, and I don't. And that's kind of how we all are feeling, those of us who are in the dating scene. I know for me, I just kind of focused on myself all 2020, but man, I want to get out there, so it's that, don't push it, refine, close the loops, love more, forgive more, be in that space of really understanding what is next, from a healed perspective, from a renewed perspective. You just spent a year having to be resilient, and pivot. Just take this time to kind of not rush. Don't rush through January. And then, of course, January 31st, Mercury goes retrograde. Why? Of course, because why not? But I do believe that, with Mercury retrograde, it's like Mercury retrograde seems like such a simple retrograde compared to all the retrogrades we had at one time over 2020. So just take this again as kind of an ending of refinement. Refine your space, who you are, what you love, what's important, where you've healed, where you still maybe need to focus, that sort of thing. And then I just want to share my screen one more time, because I like to pop this up there in case you need to see. Yes, so here we go. This is kind of how to get a hold of me if you would like your chart read. And I would highly recommend it if you're into this kind of thing at all. Just understanding where certain planets like Saturn, and if you're in your Saturn return, if you're in your Chiron return, if you're where your Mars is, where your Venus is, these kind of things really can support you when we have a month like January or a year like 2020, just any moment in time. So you can get a hold of me through my website. Also, I teach yoga and mindfulness on my website, Dana Damara Evolution, weekly online classes. And then hosting a teacher training this year, but also I'll announce this with my website too. In the next few weeks, I'm hosting meditations on Insight Timer, and I'm really excited about it. So I find that finally putting all of these things together is such a great experience. Again, if you want to reach out to me, please feel free to do so, danadamara.com. In the meantime, just take those long, deep breaths, take time to meditate and get out into nature and just enjoy yourself. Okay, really, truly do your best to just take long, deep breaths and move with purpose and grace and ease. Thank you so much. You guys have a beautiful, beautiful, blessed day. Namaste.